On October 4th, the West Bloomfield Fire Department held their annual open house at Fire Station Number 1. The open house kicks off National Fire Prevention Week by bringing the public together to teach our youth about fire safety. Civic Center TV, in cooperation with the West Bloomfield School District, was there to kick off the event with a live broadcast on 89.3 WBLD, the new Lakes FM. We spoke with community leaders about safety education and how the various facets of the township work in collaboration.
Thank you for joining us, Kristen.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're the car seat technician, so we're going to grill you on how the proper way of how to do this, because as these types of things progress, they get better made, but there's still a way to do it that we'll touch on with you.
Okay, I'll do the best I can.
All right, let's start off with that now. The origin of that is, of course, when you're riding around to have your loved ones, your child, secure. So take us through those steps with their car seat, and how to get that started, and what to look for, brands, or just the type of car seat that you need.
Well, the type of car seat in terms of brands, I can't really give you that. The truth is you don't have to spend $300 on a car seat to make sure that it will help protect your child. It's the installation that matters, and unfortunately there is a horrifying majority of car seats that are installed improperly, that parents could still be reading the manual, and there are still mistakes that are made, and they're not made intentionally, and it's something that can happen to anybody. There have been car seats that I've helped install, and I've had to sit with the parents, and we've had to kind of work together to figure out what's the best way to put this in the car. Something doesn't work, so we have to try plan B, plan C, plan D. And it's just, is the car seat compatible to the car? Because if it's not, they may need to look into getting a different car seat. Is the car seat appropriate for the child's height and weight? If their child is 20 pounds and their car seat limit is at 20 pounds, then you need to start looking for a new car seat right now. Don't purchase that car seat. If you don't know how heavy your child is, then that's something you need to find out first. And make sure that when the parents install it, they need to be able to install it multiple times. If they have to take that car seat out and they don't know how to get it back in because it's such a bulky car seat or it's so inconvenient, that's probably not the best car seat for them either. So the biggest thing to look for when they're shopping for a car seat is height and weight, the convenience for them to be able to get it out and put it back in their car. Is it compatible? And does it match, and will it protect their child? Because if it doesn't, then they've got to look for a different type. So, and there are a variety of brands out there. I could never just name one in particular one, but I would recommend looking at safety ratings for those particular car seats and reviewers' comments online too, because you have a lot of parents that'll leave reviews like, this car seat was really bulky, really inconvenient to do this or that. And I would also search recalls. See if that particular car seat was recalled for anything. Could be minor, like a buckle, or could be something major that the whole seat would need to be replaced.
We're speaking with Christan Trabulsy, who is a AAA driving training instructor. And Kristen, you kind of touched on this when you first started, and let's tell the audience, let's try to find out what are some of the common mistakes that people have when they're installing. What is it that you see?
I would have to say one of the common mistakes would be that parents move their child up to the next level of car seat without the child being physically ready. For example, right now it is highly recommended, even though it's not quite the law in terms of saying keep your child rear facing until 2. I think Michigan's law is changing to reflect that, and I could be wrong and I could be mistaken. It might already be 2 years old. But if a child is an appropriate weight and it says, keep this child rear facing until they've reached this weight and height, and let's say the child is 2 but they've already exceeded the weight restrictions on the car seat, then you've got to follow the car seat's restrictions. But if you can, keep that child rear facing up to 3 or 4 years old if you can do so. The concern would be to protect the child's head, neck, and spine from injury in a crash. A lot of parents might be concerned, but their legs are crunched up, their legs might get injured, and that's not found to be the case right now. Another thing I would look at is still to continue to follow the weight and height restrictions on the car seat, but also the buckle placement on the chest. A lot of people put that chest clip too low to where it's on their stomach, and it should be up at armpit level. And the harness might not be at the appropriate height either. So that's something that is crucial to making sure that the child is secured and snug in there. I'd also be concerned with the winter months coming up to refrain from using extremely bulky clothing for the children. When you buckle a kid in a car seat that's got an extremely bulky jacket on, you're really just buckling the jacket in, and the kid is about an inch underneath all that fluff. So in a crash, all that air is compressed out of the jacket, and now the child has room to maneuver around, which movement means injury, and you don't want that either.
How about the difference between installing it in the rear seat as opposed to, do you see any front seat installations? Or is
No,
is that
I
a state?
don't.
Is there a state law or something like that?
No child should be in a car seat in the front seat of a vehicle that's rear facing, especially if it's near an active airbag. I believe the only time it's really allowed, I don't even ever see it. I believe the only time it's allowed is if the seats in the back seat of the car are already taken up by children younger than that one that you wanted to move to the front. But there are several precautions you would need to take before moving a child to the front seat, and some things that would completely exclude that child from being able to be seated there.
So at the beginning, at all times, you install that seat in the rear.
Yes.
And be aware of those changes that come about to keep it facing rear as opposed to facing forward. Now, you said that, 2 years old, basically, is what it is?
That's the very minimum. That's a very minimum. It's recommended that you keep the child rear facing up to 3 or 4 years, as long as that car seat recommends it via the height and weight of the child. So basically keep them rear facing as possible because it helps protect, like I said, their neck, back, and spine.
Okay. Is it ever okay to not use a car seat?
No.
That's
an easy question. I mean, there's a certain age to where they'll go from rear facing to a forward facing car seat. Then there's an age where they can switch from forward facing car seat to just simply using a booster seat and what's called a belt positioning booster seat, because then they're using the seat belt in the car. And you have booster seats that have backs, you have backless booster seats, and then eventually they'll reach an age where they can use an adult safety belt. But there are a few things parents have to look for to make sure that that kid is physically mature enough to use a safety belt. Not just because the child wants it so badly, which is generally a case. You get a big girl belt, get a big boy belt. But if they're not ready for it, that big boy belt could be extremely dangerous for them.
Right, so it's important for parents to make sure that they're buying the correct seat for their child as they're growing up.
Yes.
In their car.
Because I've told parents before, they've sent me information about their car seat, and we were going to do a seat check maybe the following week. And I would call that parent back and say, you've given me this information for this car seat, but you told me your child weighs this much or is this tall, and this is not the correct car seat that you're going to want to use. So then they've had to go back, return the seat, and get a different one. There is a lot of research that goes into it, but the important thing is the safety of the children.
Right.
A car seat can happen anytime, and unfortunately not parents, but everybody tends to think, well, it's not going to happen. And it sounds depressing, but we have to prepare for that eventuality. That way when it does happen, the child's safe. That's why as adults wear our safety belts too, for that very reason.
Because no one ever expects for
No one
something
wants a
tragic
crash.
like that to happen.
Yeah.
Kristen, let's say a parent is doing this for the first time and they're just that uncertain about it. Could someone like that contact you and get some assist with that?
Yes. AAA driver training has a few car seat technicians throughout Southeast Michigan. I, for one, work out of Dearborn, but they could always call our 800 number to get in contact with my manager or my coordinator, and that's 888-222-7108. And they can ask for, they'll probably either get in touch with Sue Falatich or Lakia Hurst. And they're the ones that can connect them with the right people and get them where they need to go. So we're lucky enough. We kind of cover all age groups, the kids, the teenagers, the seniors as well. You see everybody.
Well, everybody needs to be covered, especially in those situations and riding around in a vehicle. And I think it also has to, you have to also consider what type of vehicle it is, and how you install it. Because I imagine it's a difference between an SUV and a regular, like, sedan vehicle that you would use.
It's just no wonder why parents often buy vans when you have more than 2 kids, because you cannot fit 3 car seats oftentimes in an SUV or a small sedan.
Right.
Yeah, you need the room.
Okay. And people need to be aware of that. So we've been speaking with Christan Trabulsy, who is works for AAA as far as dealing with car seats. And this is always valuable information that people can use as we're here at the annual West Bloomfield Fire Department Open House, broadcast live on WBLD 89.3, the all-new Lakes FM. Christan, we appreciate this information. This is valuable things that people need to know, and for joining us here today.
Thank you. It's been great. It's a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Residents came out in large numbers to learn about fire prevention and to support its local heroes. To see more of our live broadcast of the West Bloomfield Fire Department Open House on 89.3 WBLD, visit our website at civiccentertv.com/2015 WBFD Open House.